Dig Witch, everyone. Kajima Toshi, and welcome back to episode number 122 of the Inline G Flute podcast with me, your host, motherfucking Inline. Happy Halloween, you dirty bastards. I actually realized that Halloween is on a Friday this year, and I needed to get an episode together quick. I have got more episodes planned in that little Flute influencer series that I did a couple of weeks ago. There are bollocks to organise, but we're getting there, and I've got 2 episodes in the bank at this point, interview episodes, which I'm very excited to put out, and I wanted to put it out today, but I love Halloween, and for the day that's in it, I just thought I have to do a Halloween special. I can't let this go by me. We love Halloween around here in Inline G, especially as an Irish person. If you have an Irish person in your life, if you've adopted an Irish person, you may be entitled to compensation. But it's 8 o'clock in the morning. 8 o'clock in the fucking morning, I'm recording a podcast. If you have an Irish person in your life, I'm sure they're the same as me. They'll have your ear fucking chewed off you about how Halloween is originally an Irish holiday, blah, 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 blah. And it is, to be fair, and I'm going to do the same thing to you, but I'm doing it professionally. So Halloween, the origins are from a Celtic pagan festival called Samhain. Now Samhain, the idea is, so one unique idea to Irish mythology, or Irish mythology especially, is we have our realm, and then we have a realm that runs parallel, which has the underworld or the spirit world, but it runs parallel. They're both at the same time. Time is a continuous thing that runs beside each other in these 2 realms. Now, there is a portal between the 2 realms, and it gradually gets thinner and thinner and thinner, where at its thinnest point is Halloween or Samhain. And it's on this day that you can cross between the 2 realms with more ease. For example, fairies will come up. Now, fairies are not like Tinkerbell, all right? In Irish mythology, fairies are bad bastards. They're bad bastards. So they come up and they strike people down and bring them back down to the underworld, and then they change into them because they're changelings, and they go back up and they walk about you. And also all the ghouls and the monsters and demons, they come up to the earth, and that's why you dress up, is so you can blend amongst them so they don't hurt you. And that's also why you put a big feast out in Halloween, because maybe your loved ones will come back from the underworld and come and visit you. And sure, Jesus Christ, you don't want them going hungry, do you? The whole town will be talking about you. Sure, fuck. Sure, her John, he's been dead 30 years, came back up on Halloween, not so much as a fucking cup of tea. Stayed at that house. There he is, 30 years dead, didn't even get a drink off them. So you put out your food for your loved ones coming up, obviously. So it's an Irish holiday originally, or a festival. It's obviously been very Americanized, what fucking hasn't these days. But it's a great holiday, and I absolutely adore it. So I thought I have to do an episode. I absolutely have to. So I couldn't think of what to do this year, because I did an episode last year where I concentrated on one of my favorite spooky stories, which is The Curse of the Ninth Symphony. I think I did a few other spooky things in that episode, but I couldn't think of what to do this year, and I was racking my brain. Now, bear in mind, I've also been in Ireland for a week, so this brain is pickled with Guinness. I really couldn't think of what to do. And I was tempted to go to ChatGPT, see what it has for me. That's fucking shite, man. We're going to talk about that later. ChatGPT is shite. It never asks the important question. Why? Why? Also, whatever happened to having to think? Just sitting down, having a good fucking think. Stop outsourcing your thinking. Just get the brain going, man. Just fucking have a rummage around up there, open a couple of tabs, see what's up there. You never know. You'll find all kinds of things up there. So I couldn't think of an idea for an episode. I went back to my usual tactic in these scenarios, where I'm just going to hunt, get the head down, get into a Wikipedia hole, stay relaxed, stay curious. Something will present itself to me eventually. If I just keep going, it'll come along. There'll be something to pull on. Usually when I'm doing research is myself. Pull on myself about 4 fucking times because of the boredom. But I got it. I had what I needed. So I went to a playlist on Spotify for classical Halloween things by, I think it was Classic FM that did it. First one was hopefully what the intro music to this episode is, the Toccata in Fugue in D minor by big Johann Sebastian Bach. And this is where I started my thread. Why? The thread of why. I just started asking why. Why is the Toccata in Fugue so associated with Halloween? Why is it spooky? Why? And every time I got an answer, I'd ask another why. Why is it scary? Why this? Why that? Just kept going. Why? And you know what? I had a fucking spooky blast myself. So we're going to do that today. You're going to come with me as I just ask why. So why is the Toccata in Fugue, I'm saying why a lot now. Why is it so iconic? First thing, those first few notes are so memorable. It goes straight away, one voice on the organ, Dee-doo-dee, dee-doo-doo-doo-dum. Banging. Fucking hooked, man. Hook, line, and sinker. Now, I have to say, when I was researching this piece, I didn't know this. It's debated if it's actually written by Bach or not. There's only one original copy from that time, and it's not an original manuscript. It's a copy written by someone else. It's actually a student of Bach, a guy called Johannes Rink. But it's obviously Bach. I mean, listen to it, lads. It's way too fucking good to not be Bach. Now, it's important to say, in Bach's time, his music was not popular at all. We've had loads of different periods of revival, which is insane to me. One big period of revival, which this piece was sort of discovered again in, was Mendelssohn. So Mendelssohn was a huge fan of Bach, and he pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. He found this manuscript and got it played again. So he sort of got that going. But you take the cello preludes. They weren't popular until fucking Pablo Casals started playing them, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? Nobody played them until then. Even our flute stuff, the Bach flute sonatas and the partita, nobody fucking played them until HomePod started making them popular again, which is unthinkable in 2025 because we're looking for every bit of Bach we can. But it just was the way it was back in the day. So not only was it not played, it wasn't obviously considered spooky yet then. There was no connotation yet. That connotation came in 1931. And this is where, I would tell you, ChatGPT can go fuck itself. I'm going to turn that thing off. You have to stop listening to robots because I went on to ChatGPT to see if I can find some facts about this. And it said, oh yeah, the Toccata and Fugue starts because of a Hollywood film in 1931 called Dracula starring Bela Lugosi. Great film, by the way. I've actually watched it many, many years ago when I studied moving image arts in a different life when I was 16. So there's me, there's Dickhead here, going through YouTube, looking for the moment where the Toccata and Fugue comes up in this 1931 film. Can't fucking find it. I'm thinking, am I going to have to sit and watch this whole 2-hour film to find this bloody fucking thing? It never happened. ChatGPT was talking out its big computer hole. It's not in it. There's no Toccata and Fugue in Dracula in 1931. And then I said to ChatGPT, I was like, by the way, I don't think it's in it. And fucking ChatGPT starts gaslighting me here. Starts going, oh yeah, that's correct, Gareth. Well pointed out. It was not in the 1931, although it often assumed to be. I was like, you fucking told me it was. Don't you turn this around to me, man. ChatGPT's a load of shit. Get rid of it. But it's kind of, we all associate that theme with Dracula. And if you ask anyone, we can all have this picture of Dracula getting out of his coffin to dee-do-dee, dee-do-do-do-do-do. Never fucking happened. It's like the Mandela effect. Like Mr. Pringle not having a mustache. Mr. Pringle being dead. Nelson Mandela having a mustache. It wasn't in it. It was never in that film. The first time, that film did have music in it, by the way, but it was Wagner and Tchaikovsky. The first time we see this piece being used in a film is 1932. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, back in the days of the silver screen, the reason this piece became popular is because films were normally accompanied by a live musician in the theatre because it was easier. And often it was an organist, just because of the venue. Now, one thing that worked for organ was the Toccata and Fugue, because it was kind of spooky and it was a good piece to play. And it was kind of easy to learn the first few bars. So a lot of times, organists played this for spooky things. That's when the association started. It got hammered in big time with Leopold Stokowski. Now, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Stokowski, conductor, etc., of the Philadelphia Orchestra. He did an amazing arrangement for full symphony orchestra of this piece. It is fucking banging, and it breaks my heart that orchestras don't play it anymore. It's almost viewed as kitsch or over the top or too much. It's Bach. It's absolutely perfect, and when you hear this version for orchestra, it's a proper virtuosic workout for the orchestra. It is amazing. I love hearing it. Breaks my heart that it's not played anymore. But then that version got famous with the Disney film Fantasia. Since then, bang, this piece was brought into the public consciousness. And it's been used in everything since. Absolutely everything. By the way, watch Fantasia. You can get the Toccata and Fugue bit on YouTube. Go watch it. It is brilliant. Also, I said, it's 8 o'clock in the fucking morning. Me trying to gulp down a Spetsy. The things I fucking do for you. But since then, as I said, it became part of the public consciousness. And it's been used in everything since. So Phantom of the Opera uses this piece a lot. Twilight Zone uses it a couple of times. And my favorite thing to watch on Halloween is the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror specials. It's used there a lot. And then those Dracula connections, they kind of came naturally. But they're not actually real. There's no Dracula film where that theme comes up. It's just a natural connection between horror, spookiness, and this piece. Also, Dracula, written by an Irishman. Just saying. I will shoehorn Ireland into this podcast everywhere I can go. But Bram Stoker was from Dublin. I can't remember if he stole Oscar Wilde's ex-girlfriend or if Oscar Wilde stole his ex-girlfriend. I feel like Oscar Wilde wasn't stealing a lot of girlfriends, an Oscar. I think what happened was Oscar Wilde went to Oxford, and when he came back, his childhood sweetheart had married Bram Stoker. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But anyway, written by an Irishman. That's why it's good. So let's keep poking this bear. Why? Why is the Toccata and Fugue creepy? I haven't got an answer yet. Organ. Why is the organ creepy? Let's start pulling on that thread. The organ is creepy. It's creepy as fuck, generally speaking. Now, the main reason for that is because of its connection with the church. We'll get to that later, because the church is creepy. But that's a why too far for now. It's a why too deep. The first thing is, it's the sustaining element of the organ. You have to remember, back in the days when the organ was invented, there was no piano with a sustain pedal. If you wanted to play a long note, the best way to do it was to get a wind player and make them breathe a lot. Even the string instruments couldn't really do it because they weren't that high quality. And the harpsichord doesn't have sustain on it. So there was the only instrument that could play a long note without the quality being affected whatsoever was the organ. And this sustain thing gives a subconscious effect of uncertainty. When's it going to end? Will it end? Where's it going? Where's it taking me to? Who framed Roger Rabbit? And you take that sustaining effect, that gets amplified by the sheer fucking power of an organ, because they can make you shake, and not in the good way. So the loudest organ in the world is a thing called the Vox Maris. It's out in Korea. It's 72 meters tall, and it can get to 138.4 decibels by the Guinness Book of Records. That's fucking insane. For reference, anything above 120 is considered dangerous, and you should not be exposed to it for more than a couple of minutes. This is 138 is like a jet plane taking off. We're talking major football crowds, not American football, real football. American football, those things are those matches like fucking libraries. This is the kind of noise that can make you shake. Your whole body will shake. So if you have that sense of impending dread combined with something that makes your whole body shake, well, no fucking wonder you're getting the willies. Jesus Christ, put the fear of God into you. And also you have that trope of the mad, lonely organist, with the fucking hood up down to the back of the church with a candle there. This big giant building, him just sitting in the back. It's classic. That genius verging on the edge of insanity trope. The organ is made for that. And lastly, the organ is so fucking gothic, and it's associated so strongly with gothic architecture and gothic aesthetic. Gothic aesthetic, the general idea of goth aesthetic or gothic aesthetic is to inspire awe and fear at the same time. That's a good God-fearing man. That's why those churches are designed like that. It's to scare the dick out of you and then comfort you afterwards. Classic fucking toxic narcissistic boyfriend. Have you ever seen the Cologne Cathedral? So I live in Cologne, and the Cologne Cathedral, I think, is the second biggest Gothic cathedral in the world. It's fucking terrifying, lads. It's a monster of a thing. All these gargoyles and all on it. It's fucking spooky as shit. You walk down at the middle of the night. My favourite Irish pub is 20 metres around the corner from it. You come back with a few Guinness in you, and these gargoyles are looking at you. I get off the pints, then you start going to church. It's terrifying. Especially when you see lads trying to climb up and they've got a few pints in them, but it's fucking mad. So anyway, as I researched the organ, the next why, it appeared itself. I didn't have to look for this why. This why was a gift. It dropped down into my hand. Why is the organ scary? Because of its connection to the church. Why is the church scary? Ha ha ha. Now you're asking the questions. Before I do that, we're going to do the Patreon read though, because I need to get this out of the way. So if you're a regular listener to the Inline G podcast, you know what's about to happen here. Skip ahead a wee minute or two, or go pour yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or a pumpkin juice. But if you're new around here, lend me your ears for just 1 minute. The Inline G podcast is free, and it will always be free. That is a motherfucking guarantee. However, if you wish to donate to the podcast, you can now do so through the Patreon. On the screen now is the address, and for the audio listeners, it is patreon.com/the Inline G Flute podcast. Now, lads, it costs €5 a month, and with that, you're keeping this podcast alive. This is the definition of a small, independent podcast. I do everything on this podcast. Audio production, video production, graphic design, marketing, script writing, travel, you name it, our fucking Inline G here does it. I love it. It's a real labor of love. It's a passion project, and it's a thing that makes me happiest in my life right now. But it's a lot of fucking work. There are no sponsors on Inline G. We have took them all away because they will all say, They want some degree of creative control over what I talk about. No politics, no mental health, etc. Nothing controversial. They can go fuck themselves. We now have the biggest flute podcast on planet Earth, and it is 100% listener funded. That is so punk rock. So if you sign up to the Patreon, you're not going to get any extra episodes. I don't do that. I really think Inline G should be free for everybody. I've toyed with the idea of doing an episode every 2 weeks, and the episodes in the middle are Patreon exclusives, but no, it's not fair. You all deserve to get a podcast. So you will get one. You'll get a couple of wee treats in there, but the main reason you're doing it is to support it. If you listen to every single episode of this podcast, that's at least 4 hours of entertainment a month. It comes out every Friday, come rain nor fucking shine. It's a $5 a month. That's half the price of Netflix for all that entertainment. And again, you're putting it straight into an artist's pocket who needs the money and is doing his best to provide this. So you're supporting art in the best way possible. Fuck Netflix, man. What are they doing with your money? Nothing. I'm doing shit here. I'm 8 o'clock on a Thursday morning. I'm out here recording podcasts, for fuck's sake. So if you can afford it, please sign up to the Patreon, okay? Don't do it through the app because Apple skim a bit off the top. Fuck them. Do it through a browser. You can sign up and then unsubscribe immediately. So you only have to pay 1 month if you just want to give me like a one-off €5 fee to help out a bit. If you can afford it, please sign up while you can afford it. It's only a $5 a month. It really is keeping this podcast alive. Without it, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. If you can't afford it, times are hard. We're musicians, a lot of us. It's not easy to find a $5 a month sometimes. That's grand. Don't worry. Someone else who can afford is paying so you can listen for free. It's a system based on kindness and on soundness. Thank you very much. So, also there are 0 cuts in this podcast. In solo episodes, there are 0 cuts. It's straight through, no kissing. So why churches? Why do they spook us so much? You know, like you think of films like The Omen and The Exorcist. They're classics. They're terrifying because of their connection with the church. They play on this. Churches have been about since the medieval times. Like they're honestly as close to timeless as we get. They're some of the oldest institutions in the world, and often are. Now these days, in those days, in the medieval times, they were a bit more fire and brimstone. They're a bit more spooky. They're a bit more, I want to say primitive, maybe not the right word, but you know what idea? They had real clear ideas and conceptions of hell and the afterlife and the devil and angels and the spiritual world. It was very conceptualized. The church has softened its approach to a lot of these things, but the buildings haven't changed. And we still go and worship in the same buildings for the main part. Now, the key role of these fucking, frankly, insane buildings was twofold. 2 things. One, it was to remind people of the magnificence and grandeur and power of God and his power against the evils of the world. But more importantly, the role of these buildings was memento mori. You will die. You will die. To remember that you will die. We will all die. Fucking skeleton carvings, tombs, skulls, catacombs, grim reapers. Death is all over the place when you go to a church. There's nothing scarier than death. It is the thing we all fear, even though we're all going to see it. We're all going to be brown bread one day, whether you like it or not. But to medieval minds, the church wasn't just worship. It was the actual place where heaven and hell met. And Halloween is also tied to the church calendar because by the church, it's the day before All Saints' Day. A whole day to celebrate Shazny from All Saints. That is such a niche reference, by the way. And if anyone gets that, I will be so fucking impressed. But organs have been the instrument of choice in churches for a very, very long time, as we've said before. Now, you have to remember, when did the organ play in church? Not just for the normal ceremonies or services, but also funerals. Funerals are a big part of any church. And the organ comes in and plays the funeral march or a funeral march. That's another association that we make with the organ and church and death. Instantly. Dum dum da 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 da. It's a fucking cliche. Another one. So, and you think also when you go into a big church, you've got these stained glass windows and the stone walls. When you put a sound against that, it can echo for like fucking near 10 seconds sometimes. That's spooky as fuck. So nowadays, like horror scores for movies will deliberately use things like reverb and echo as effects to inspire spookiness. That comes from that association with the supernatural through the church. So that's why we think reverb is spooky, because of church. And also, churches are filled with fucking graveyards and cemeteries with spooky skeletons playing their ribcage like xylophones. And there's fucking crypts in a church. There's a crypt in most churches. I don't even know what a crypt is. I'm not entirely sure, but it can't be fucking good, can it? So all this is playing into our psyche of what a church is, and it's been around for a long fucking time, so it becomes inherited trauma. All these churches used to inspire with our ancestors in the medieval times has slowly evolved to fear with some of us. Some of us will fear the church. Some of us are still in awe. But anyway, I've got one more why. I've got time for another why. The amount of whys I'm pulling out of my hole today, lads. One for the road. One last why. Here we go. The last spooky why. Why does D minor, the key of D minor, spook us so much? The Toccata and Fugue is in D minor. Actually, when you get the original copy by your man Johannes, he didn't put the flat sign in for D minor. You know, by the way, your music theory, you should know key signature of D minor, 1 flat. Obviously a sharp and 7th most of the time, but 1 flat, same as F major. He doesn't put that in. It wasn't the custom at the time. It's been added now, obviously, but back in the day, you didn't put that in the minor keys. You just left them as they were and put them in as accidentals. Mad. Didn't know that. Only found it out recently. D minor is a fucking cracking key. An absolutely brilliant key. It's one of my absolute favorites. Now, Mozart loved D minor. He called it the key of sadness. And if you think, Mozart didn't write in the minor key very often. It was a very rare thing for him to do. He wrote happy music generally. Now, he did write, for example, that symphony, number 40 or 39 in G minor, the famous one, da-da-dum, 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 dee-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, dum. That's in G minor. But most of the time when he wrote in a minor key, he went for D minor, and he saved it for the real intense pieces that he ever wrote. So we're thinking his Requiem, the piano concerto in D minor, fucking amazing, or the overture to Don Giovanni. These are some of the darkest, most heavy pieces Mozart ever wrote when he's dealing with sadness and death and drama. He used D minor every single time. And it's not just him. Beethoven's 9th Symphony is in D minor. Rachmaninoff's 3rd Piano Concerto is in D minor. Fuck, for the flute, the CP Bach Concerto, the best, one of the best concertos we have, if not the best, is in D minor. Pure fucking drama. That concerto, by the way, an absolute cracker. An absolute corker. And if you haven't heard the version of Emmanuel Baou playing it, go and listen to it. It is rock and roll as fuck. It's amazing. Now, we think back to the days of the Baroque era or the classical era where slightly pre-equal temperament, or certainly not the standardization of equal temperament. Now, if you're unsure what equal temperament is, I have done an episode on this somewhere. I think it's called like Pythagoras and Sexy Maths Teachers or something like that. Something about intonation. Go and check out about just intonation and equal temperament, okay? Or just an equal temperament, whatever you want to call it. It's an insane mathematical system, but back in those days, people understood keys a little bit more because they played with true intonation. Now, also because of that, music theorists had very clear ideas of what each key was trying to say, or what flavor it had, or what color it had, or what emotion it was associated with. Now, Christian Schubert, a big music theorist of the time, he had called D minor melancholy womanliness, which sounds like a bar. It sounds like a shot. I guess 2 pints of Guinness and one of those melancholy womanliness, please. Now, you might have heard of a, what's the word for this? A phenomenon called musical synesthesia. And it's basically where some people have this and they will hear pieces in a certain key and will instantly associate it with a certain color. Now, Olivier Messiaen gave colors to his keys. He had an amazing piece of music called Chronochronie. He had musical synesthesia. And he associated certain keys with colors and he put it into his music. His was a little bit different, a little bit more evolved, but for D minor, he went for really deep purples. It's often associated as well with grey, dark grey or dark blue. Don't know what that was. I'm genuinely getting scared here, lads. It's the day before Halloween. Everybody knows. Like, who the fuck's that? Oh, John, it's yourself. So, yeah, Messiaen used it for deep purple, not the fucking smoke on the water. Damn. That is not Messiaen. But he used deep purples for D minor, which is very on brand for this podcast because I love deep purples. So it fits perfectly with that kind of idea of introspection and tension and drama. But the big boys, those big composers, they found the drama in it. That's what they use D minor for, and especially sadness. So if you stick all of these things together, the D minor, the sadness, the drama, the organ, the church, the crypt, whatever the fuck it is. Dracula, apparently, but not really. You're going to get the spookiest piece of music ever written. one thing I would encourage you to do is go and listen to the Toccata and Fugue in D minor with a set of fresh ears. Listen to the whole thing. Get past the opening 2 bars, where it's a cliche. Get past that and sit and listen to it. It is unbelievable. It is fucking unbelievable. It is the best, one of the best things Bach ever wrote. There's a reason why it's so famous. Go and do that. And also, do something spooky. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy Samhain. And let me know if there's anything I missed on here on spookiness. I need to reach out to you guys a little bit more and get your advice on things and get your feedback and what I missed and what I didn't talk about. I'm only a man. I'm only a mere human. So if you can help me out with things, I'm more than happy. And I want to hear your opinions. And I also want to think, what would the next why be if I kept pulling on this thread? Because this is a short podcast. I only want to do a short one this week because, well, to be quite honest, I got to go to work, lads. Is there another why I could have added on to this about spookiness or Halloween or creepiness? If so, let me know what it is. And give me your other spooky pieces in D minor, please. I want to know more things about D minor. So, lads, I'm away. Happy Halloween. Happy Samhain. Have a great one. And I'll see you next week for a guest episode. Slán go fóill.